Hello, and welcome to a new episode. Last time we generated ender crystals, and as many of you suspected, today we will try to build a sand generator. But first we should make sure everyone who helped developing this design gets credited properly. Links to all the mentioned videos and channels can of course be found in the video description. The original concept of the sand generator was shown by Ground15 and TTMX around 2 years ago. They dropped the sand on the border of the end portal in order to duplicate it. A few months later, Sancarn and Spire presented an automatic single-player version of the sand generator in Minecraft 1.7. They used the stone generator to move the sand off the obsidian platform in the end, which was the main bottleneck of their design. In today's design, we will use an ender crystal to remove part of the obsidian platform and let the sand drop down. This technique was also shown by Raceworks a few months ago. Even though it was unrelated to our design, I think in cases like this it's fair to put in an honorable mention. Besides the use of ender crystals, this design is quite different from ours, as it requires 2 players. Finally, I want to give a huge shout out to Sancarn and Spire. Sancarn helped me a lot with experiments on how the sand duplication actually works and how to make use of it. Spire and me developed the redstone for the design together, as well as the concepts which are used for chunk loading. In the generator, the sand will be cycling between the overworld and the end. For this we will need to make use of the spawn chunks. As you might know, when loading the spawn chunks in this world, peaceful mobs can spawn, which would break the mushroom farm. To prevent that from happening, we should first remove all grass blocks in the spawn chunks. So, the spawn chunks are a giant artificial mushroom island now. That should make sure no peaceful mobs spawn there and break the mushroom farm. But we are at the end portal now, or rather where we used to have the nether portal, which led to the end portal. Like over here is the silverfish farm, which is, well, outdated, probably doesn't work correctly anymore, and you see I dug through here and didn't really take care of it much. But yeah, every time I wanted to go to the end, I had to go this way here, and it's for 2 years or so. Like around here, and this jump, which I by now am really good at, but at the beginning I had many times that I fell down here. But still, it's... oh yeah, you see I'm really good at it. It's ridiculous. I should fix that. And so we did in a stream. We built this room up here and moved the portal to over here. So when I want to go to the end, I can just walk through this room, and over here we got the end portal now nicely embedded into the floor. Earlier it was also different. Yeah, I plan to build a stair to the surface over here and a stair downstairs to the silverfish spawner on this side. It's not done yet, sometime in the stream. It's in no hurry. So at the moment I just throw an ender pearl to get upstairs and still use the stair if I want to go down there, which I rarely do. Like there's nothing really down there I need at the moment. But yeah, let's get to the sand generator. We got the end portal here, which is the main ingredient. And Ground and TTMX showed it quite a while ago, that you could duplicate sand when you drop it on the border of the end portal frames here. Like just slightly on the portal frame and the rest inside the portal. And the reason why that duplicated the sand is that the sand at the same time it entered the portal and got teleported also hits the block here. Because the blocks are a bit lower than a full block, you get teleported when you sneak on top of it, and it's the same for sand. If sand falls on there, it gets teleported even if it's standing or lying on the block basically. So yeah, that's the main thing. The sand needs to land on a block at the same time it enters the portal, like in the same tick. And I didn't build up what they showed back then here, because for our purpose we can make it a little bit easier by dropping it from the right height into the portal. The sand has so much speed then that it hits the block below the portal at the same time. And yeah, I figured out, or together with Sancarn, we figured out that when we drop it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks above the portal, and also put how is that called? Couple walls below the portal, or fences, because half a block higher than normal blocks. Oops, let's fix that. When we put them there and drop it from 6 blocks above, then it hits the fence at the same time it enters the portal. So basically, it's when you drop sand, it looks like it's falling smooth here, but most of you probably know that Minecraft runs on 20 ticks per second, so 20 times per second all the things in the game are recalculated, and it's the same for sand, of course, or for falling sand, and it looks smooth, but that's just for rendering. Really, when you see how the sand falls normally, you see how it jumps from one position to the next one, and when you let it drop from the 6 blocks above here, it will enter the portal at such a speed that it at the same time hits the block below. It's not only the speed which matters, but also the real position. If you drop it from 7 blocks, it wouldn't work again. If you drop it from 8, I'm not sure. It works, maybe not. And above, it gets more likely the higher the blocks are, but 6 is the first position that works, and that's what we will use here. So, yeah, if I drop a block in here now, with the cobble fence below, if there's no cobble fence below, we need to drop the sand from way higher, but with the fence, it works with 6 blocks, so the fence is important if you want to drop it from only 6 blocks. If I drop a sand block from there now, you will see that the obsidian platform in the end regenerates. I added some flowing water there so that you see that it regenerates. I guess I can also just throw in item and you see the water disappears for a moment and then it gets flushed in again. So if I drop a sand block in now, you can see it drops as an item, and also, oh no, I think it just flushed my pick. I was hoping that would run differently. Also, you can see how the water flows to the sides, like there was a block, but there's air. That's because the sand block which is there is invisible. If I enter the end now, then the block will be removed again because it replaces the platform. Oh no! Hopefully the pick is fine. I will get killed if it got hurt. Where is it? Oh no! It's down there. I should get a health potion for it. Maybe it was in the water, but we will get it later. That's also something we built in stream. It's not really practical, but still funny pick elevator, which I maybe can show later when I fixed it again. But let's stay at the sand generator here. So let's maybe place a block here so that the water next time doesn't flow this way. I hope it also won't flow here. Only one way to find out. So let's try that again. So we drop the sand in from 6 blocks above the portal. Let's get back to the overworld. Oops, I set my spawn close to the portal, so that should be fine. And there we go. So we still got cobble fences below there. I drop the sand in, and it drops. It lands, an item is there, and you see the block doesn't get rendered, but it is there. You can see it on the water. The block indeed is there. That's why many people thought the sand generator was fixed, but it's just that the blocks sometimes don't render, sometimes they do. Now I can try it again. Nope, doesn't render again. Doesn't render again. Doesn't render again. Well, doesn't matter. It is there. It indeed is there. You can see it on the water. Yeah. Now that's what is the main core thing what is needed to duplicate the sand. But what I'm doing at the moment is not single player friendly at all. It only works because my camera account is loading the end, so it doesn't really count. So I guess it's also a good thing that on how I drop in the sand here, I don't really duplicate it, because I duplicated it, and then when I go into the portal or source the next sand in, I delete the duplicated sand again. Like if I throw an item in, zip, the duplicated sand is gone. So this wouldn't be legit single player. But that's what we will have to do next. In order to get the sand out of here, we will need to first remove this water. Let's just get rid of it. And then we will need to get rid of this block here. But as I said, the platform regenerates each time. I should pick up the sand again. I don't have too much of it. The platform regenerates each time we drop something in. So let me just go back to the overworld. You can see I dug a hole in the platform there, and zap, it's repaired. And same if we enter, then we also fix it. And in order to remove this block each time so the sand can drop through after we duplicated it, and then we can do stuff with it. In order to remove this block each time, we will use the ender crystal we generated last episode, or one of the ones we generated. It's still back there, so let's just go there. Where is it? Somewhere around here. There we go. There it is. It's flickering like crazy. But yeah, there's the ender crystal we generated last time. And what I will do now, or what you see already, is there is a fire in there which is flickering all the time because it has nothing to burn on. It usually needs a block, but the ender crystal is placing it in air each time. And then it goes off again because it can be placed just in air, and then the ender crystal turns it on again. And that's what we will use, because this fire will replace each and every block that we place inside it. If I were to place... I'm not sure if that will work, but let's try it. If I were to place water here, with a little luck... Nope, it just killed our boat. Can I place it down there? That might have worked. Maybe it's now visible. Yeah, if I place water in there, you see there's water on top of the fire, and it is flowing in sometimes, but it gets removed each time again, because the ender crystal places fire again and replaces it. And we will use exactly that to get rid of the one obsidian block, which is in our way to drop the sand down. And I would say I just speeded up how I move the ender crystal over there, because it will be a bit tedious. And we will continue then. Phew, that was a fair bit of work. Moving ender crystals is nerve-wracking. You have to be really careful. Like, I put my ender pearls out of the hotbar because a throw of an ender pearl is enough to blow it up. And also, this part where in the center where it's burning, I think you can move that into another block. Because last time that was what happened to the ender crystal we tried to move back first. We moved it into a block and it exploded. So I made sure I made all the paths clear so that the whole hitbox of the ender crystal can move through. Yeah, and one thing you nicely were able to see in the time lapse is all these ghost fires. It's not real fire, it's just client side, but they happen all the time when moving the ender crystal. They will disappear next time I reconnect, as well as the fire around the huge fire around the ender crystal. So yeah, next up we should move it into this spot here. Phew! Let's try to move it in the last part. I placed some glowstone here that will reduce the lack of the light updates a little bit. Also I placed hoppers here, which hopefully will pick up the sand that we generate with the sand generator later. And to make sure they can pick it up, I will now also add a hopper minecart here. Like right in this corner. Before we add the ender crystal, because I'm not sure how good that will work afterwards. So now everything is prepared, and now we just need to move it in. So let's get some block ready and try it. Enderman. Well, I will use slime blocks here anyways. Two more blocks we need to go, I think. Actually, let's get rid of the blocks back here. At least a few of them. That hopefully will do. Two more, is that right? I think we just need one more, but we need to move it in two more. And then move it one back so that it is aligned nicely. I'm not sure if we need to do that, but like now you can see the flame is in the spot on this side here. This enderman is mad, isn't he? If he attacks me here, I just have to run. I can like attack him. So yeah, now it's moved too far. We need to move it back. But that's how I did it before as well. Not seemed to work nicely. So, whew, and that's just the beginning of the whole project. That will be fun. So let's move it back one time and hope that that's fine. Okay, the flickering fire is now in the center. Like right in the center of the obsidian platform, right? Yep, that looks like it. Okay, so now we will have to move it down. Here the lever, right? Yeah. So we can do it with a slime block, but okay, one block more down and then it should be fine. Okay, now you can see, yep, it's flickering on the level of on the layer of the platform. Oh, careful with how I made blocks here. Oops. All the old pistons on the sides and stuff is from the obsidian farm which blew up. That's still there. I just dug out what I needed here in space. Yeah, that's really nice. Really nicely. Now we can try to generate sand with it. Let's go to the overworld one time and come back, and after that I will set up a camera account and show you the thing in action. Let's hop in. Yep, you can see it regenerated the platform, but the soul is still there. As the crystal made it again. Really nice. And now if we drop in sand, let's get rid of the hitbox here. Now if we drop in sand, we will get one item here and one block down here. So let's check that out. Let's try this out. There's still the fences below, and we drop a sand in, and we drop another one in. Ah, the items get picked up already. I was wondering for a moment. Of course, I put a hopper there, but you can see them blinking for a short moment. Like, sand, and yeah, you see I also built up some redstone already to make it better visible. Let's go into the end ourselves. Oops, drop down here. So, the hoppers here. There we got the sand. Okay, I can't lock the hoppers because there's a hopper minecart still. Guess what I can do is lock the hopper and throw different items in there. Up. So let's take one redstone, one wood, one dispenser, one torch, one ender pearl. That should be all right. Shouldn't pick up. Yep. Okay, now we got was locked, so now the items accumulate there, and yeah, there are a few pistons in place to move the stuff up. I don't think I will explain all the wiring in too much detail, because I have the feeling this video will get quite long if I do. It's basically just like we have a furnace with a comparator there to give some power in here, which then has a zero-tick piston with the zero-tick thing. Then here we got a smart piston. Also we got redstone there, which goes up here. The comparator, that it goes into the comparator is just by accident, it doesn't matter here. And then we got a piston below here, which pushes it up, and up there we got more pistons. Just pushing it around a bit. Yep. So, let's go. Yep. Back to the overworld. And drop another sand. So, from 6 blocks above. There we go. There's an item and a block. And another one. Item and block. And you see the ender crystal every time deletes the obsidian again. Yay! Works really nice. Cool. Let's get back here. And oh, the lag is a little annoying. There we got our items now. So later we will hook up chests to these hoppers and that stuff, but now that we got this part, we can continue with the actual tricky part of the sand generator. Like, the sand then gets moved up till up here, and then gets moved into the portal and lands at the spawn area, and that's where we also will have to continue with building. You can clearly see where the exact spawn point is. This is the sand we dropped in while testing the sand generator. And yeah, I would say just time-lapse a bit for now, and then explain all the things I built, because I have the feeling this video is going kind of slow, so let's just speed it up a bit. Ooh, I got a bit carried away with building and built way more than I originally wanted to. Just wanted to build this piston conveyor here. But now I also built tunnels below in the water for the redstone, and they are way fancier than I originally planned to. Sadly, the tunnels turned out to be imaginary time-lapse. Like, if you got a good imagination, then you can probably see some things happening, but otherwise, not so much. But yeah, these tunnels we will need later. We wanted to continue following the sand block, so when it dropped into the portal in the end, it will end up here at the exact spawn position. Actually, let me just get a compass. Yep. There we go. So you can see the exact spawn position is pointing at, well, it's at the border between these 4 blocks. Yeah, because it's the negative direction here. So it means this block is the spawn position. We also can see it because that's where the sand landed, which we put into the portal before. So we know that the sand will appear at this position. Now, when the sand appears here, this redstone will turn on. Then we have a simple 0-tick piston here, just a piston which gets budded, and then a piston which updates it, which gets powered by the block which is budding the piston. And yeah, we use a sticky piston here. It doesn't really matter. I think we could use a normal one as well. But yeah, then the sand appears here, and as it's the spawn chunks around here, this is loaded, so sand appears and it will get pushed. This conveyor will then continue it. It's a really smart idea, this conveyor. It was an idea by Spire. You can see there we got a redstone block with redstone on top, which powers the next piston over there, and this piston with 2 repeater ticks delay. So what happens is, usually there's a block here, and if now these blocks push, they turn into block 36, so this block gets transparent, as block 36 then. So the redstone can pass through and triggers the next piston in the same tick. So it's sort of an instant wire within the sand that we move. Which is really nice to have here. So let's trigger it one more time and move the sand over. I should be careful not to trigger too often because back there's a buffer which might overflow otherwise. But yeah, we just continue this pattern here. Every time 2 pistons always get triggered by one of these things. Like one without delay and one with 2 ticks delay. So this piston, the pistons in this direction always push immediately, and the piston here then always 2 ticks after the pistons which push immediately. It will, or 2 redstone ticks, it will move in the next sand, and therefore this whole thing pushes at once, which is really nice because having delay in this conveyor would cause a lot of problems. But yeah, then way back here, we have this buffer where it just stacks up the sand, and this buffer is at the border of the spawn chunks. You can see this is the border of the spawn chunks around here. So it's right at the border, which means that this chunk will be a lazy chunk. And in lazy chunks, sand drops a bit different. So the sand will drop down immediately. It will just get placed down there instead of turning into an entity, which is great because for the speed we will have this thing running later. If we would have entities here which fall down, that would cause trouble. They would be too slow and not, it would bug out, and the sand would drop as items or something like that, I think. But yeah, I will talk later more about this property of sand because we will need it in more of the redstone. But let's skip this part of the redstone for now and get down there and see how the sand continues. So yeah, over here that's just rooms and ways, corridors for the redstone. But over here is where it continues. So this is a buffer which is coming down from on top. And then over here we have a tunnel with a piston conveyor in there. It's basically the same piston conveyor we had on top of there just that now the piston which moves to the side only moves it one block to the side and not more. Let me open it up here real quick so we can see what's going on. So yeah, let's remove this block as well. There we go. Let's remove this block so I don't trigger it. So you can see we got the same redstone here again. There's a sand, and when it gets pushed, then first this piston triggers and pushes the sand in front of it in the same tick as this sand is pushed, and then 2 ticks later the other piston will move the sand over again to reset it for the next cycle. And that pattern is just continued all the way till the stronghold. So let's fix up the blocks here real quick. The buttons I put on top of there are just for manual reset, because I fear that if I trigger this thing at the wrong time, it will get stuck. Like I know that, but I fear that will happen to me, and I will have to run through and press all these buttons to reset it. It's not worth a better reset though, because if it runs correctly, it won't be a problem. So just the buttons is fine. Hopefully we won't have to do that too often. But yeah, this piston conveyor leads to the end portal, and this we will have running on a clock with 5 repeaters on 1 tick. So that should be, I think, 2 cents per second. We probably could make it a little faster, but it's a survival build, and I don't want to spend much time on figuring out the exact timings for that, because like then you get more problems, and 2 cents per second is fine. It probably would work a little faster, but this is what we tested and what works fine. So yeah, we turn it on from here. It's just a sticky piston below there. So this part creates a short pulse when we turn it on, sends the short pulse in here, and that then cycles around. Over here is a off switch basically. Like this piston, when it's powered, will move a block in this position, so that the signal cycles. If it's turned off, then it will stop. I can't just turn it on. I risk that this conveyor gets stuck, because at the moment we don't account for chunk loading and unloading, which is what we want to build here later, but that's something I will explain later. Let's just turn it on anyways. If it breaks, I will fix it. That wasn't how I intended it to do. Just hit a little leg spike. So flick the lever and leave it on. So this is the speed at which we would duplicate sand. No, actually it's double the speed you see the sand falling there, because that's what I said. At the moment the sand is turning into an entity and falling slowly. Let's turn it off again. But later on this will be a lazy chunk, and the sand will just immediately be down there and be pushed again. So let's follow this way back to the stronghold, and I will show you what we got there. And here we are. From here on it goes zigzag again. Yeah, here I didn't place the... Oh, that's just lava, okay. From here I didn't place the half slabs yet, so you can see it's again this... it's the same pattern. The sand would be over here. This triggers a piston with delay. This piston triggers instant, and so on. And it just goes this way. The reason why for the long way I didn't make the zigzag pattern, but build it straight is... here for the long way, I just build it straight with this little pushing to the side. The reason for that is this way we load fewer chunks and hopefully cause less lag. For the front here it doesn't matter, because these chunks need to be loaded anyways for the sand generator to work. So yeah. Now over here it pushes in then and pushes into the portal from 6 blocks on top. And yeah, then we got the sand duplication. Now what is a really important part still is this piston over here. So you see it gets also triggered as soon as the sand pushes. This redstone turns on. Usually there's sand on top of here. So when the sand pushes, this redstone turns on. which causes this piston here to extend, which will then send a short off pulse into this redstone line. Like you can imagine, if it starts pushing here, this redstone block turns into block 36 in front here, so this redstone is turned off, and then before it lands in this position here, there is like a 3 game tick delay or 2 game tick delay or something like that. So this redstone turns off for a few game ticks before it turns back on, and that is just on a rising edge. On the falling edge, this repeater will keep it powered till the piston retracted. And this redstone line, what it's doing is it is loading the chunks. So you can see if I go here, it goes out to sides that just follow one side, and then we got this piston repeater here, because on retracting these piston repeaters are instant. So when this retracts, then this redstone will turn off at in the same tick as the redstone back here. This continues, goes to the sides here, to this side, and all the way out there. And the same on the other side. Let me just walk there one time. Over here we also have it one time in the center to catch all 5x5 chunks. Yeah, and back here. Let me show you from on top what area that loads, because when we built the obsidian farm a while ago, the thing that blew up in the end, when we built that, we marked out the chunks that need to be loaded because we needed the same chunks to be loaded for that. So I can show it really nicely here. You can see I built this checkerboard pattern here, and each tile is a chunk. So we got a 5x5 chunk area loaded, like 5 here and 5 there, and that's exactly what these pistons load below the ground there. And we need these 5x5 chunks to be loaded because, yeah, as I said, in lazy chunks, sand falls differently. And lazy chunks are chunks which are not actively loaded. So for a chunk to be actively loaded, the 5x5 area needs to be loaded around it. So we want to make the chunk in the center an active loaded chunk, and we do that by loading all these other chunks so it gets actively loaded, which then allows entities to get ticked and also allows sand to fall in entity form, because in all the other chunks it would just, like in the lazy chunks, it would just fall in block form, which we use for the buffer but can't use here because we need to drop the entity into the portal for the generator to work. So yeah, let's get down there again. Oops. Hui. Yeah, and then we are back where we started. We have the couple fence below the portal, and the sand drops in. It duplicates. It falls through the ender crystal and moves back into the portal and does the whole cycle again. So that's the main thing of the sand generator. Now there's just one problem left, and I guess I can just talk about it while walking back. And the one problem that's left is, when do we start the clock and how do we start the clock? So we need to be inside the end in order for the sand generator to work. Because the end will not stay loaded automatically or anything. There isn't spawn chunks in the end or anything like that. In fact, for the end and the nether, if there's no player in the dimension, all chunks will unload in each and every tick. So there isn't... well, there might be a way to keep the chunks loaded, but if so, it's really tricky. I didn't figure it out yet. But in each tick, all chunks there unload. So we need the end to be loaded, therefore we need to be in the end when we want to use a sand generator. So we need to start the clock remotely out of the end. That's the one thing, but that's a minor issue, because we can just throw an item into the end portal and that will appear at the spawn, and we can detect it there and then start the clock from that. The bigger issue is, every 45 seconds the game unloads all chunks which got no reason to stay loaded. And there are only two reasons for chunks to stay loaded. Reason number one, they are part of the spawn chunks. And reason number 2 is that the player loads them. Like, if I'm inside the chunks here, they won't unload because I obviously need them. And yeah, that's a problem, because this piston conveyor we are walking on at the moment, when it gets unloaded while pushing or in the wrong tick, it can break, or if parts of it get unloaded in the wrong at the wrong time. So we thought a lot about how to prevent this issue, and we found a solution. And the solution is just to align it to the 45-second unloading. When the game unloads the chunks, we just make sure that the conveyor and the whole send generator, nothing is in a critical phase where unloading would hurt it. So it can unload, and then after that it loads itself again, because okay, we're close to the end of the tunnel. After that it loads itself again because it pushes in the next send, and when it pushes a block from a loaded chunk, like from the spawn chunks, into the unloaded chunks, then this block will load the unloaded chunk in order to get into it. So yeah, that's it basically. Now all we need to do is build an unloading detector, or an unloading detector is a good word for it, I guess, to find out when the 45-second unloading cycle happens. And I would say to do that, we probably should get to our test area, and I built up a few things to demonstrate it. We will use the same property we use here in the buffer, that send falls differently in lazy chunks. And the machine we came up with for it is not too small. I planned one chunk for it, but I think for what it does, it's fine. So yeah, let's get to the test area and figure out how the unloading detector works. So I finally figured out what's wrong with the previous setup. So I tested the thing in a snapshot world, and in the snapshot apparently it works a little different than in the current version. Nothing that matters for the send generator, but something that matters for this test setup. But yeah, I got it fixed now. So let's place the send on top of the pistons again. The setup below is essentially the same. We got the detector here, we got a redstone dot, and we got a torch. We got the signal coming from back there, and yeah, we got the two signals, one from the back chunk here, and one from the front chunk. And this time we won't go to render distance 2, but instead just 8, because that's the minimum that's loaded anyways. Like if you go to render distance 2 in Minecraft 1.8, it still loads render distance 8, so going lower than that doesn't help us at all. In Minecraft 1.9 that will be different unless I change it, in the snapshot it is. But yeah, now if we stand back in this chunk, the chunk with the red sand on the back will be lazy loaded, so entities won't get processed there, and a few other things work different. So for chunk to be actively loaded, a 5x5 area around it needs to be loaded. So if the red and yellow fields here are loaded chunks, and the gray is unloaded chunks, and well, here there would also be unloaded chunks, then these chunks here would all be lazy. Lazy. But well, yeah, if over here there's also unloaded, then none of them would be active. Let's say we take this chunk. For this chunk to be an actively loaded chunk, this chunk would have to be loaded, this chunk would have to be loaded, this chunk, and also this one. 5x5 area around it, and all the other chunks that are here, like from this chunk to this chunk in a square. That would have to be loaded, and that will not be the case for the chunk in the back with the red sand there. The one on the left, which is a little bit more in front, would be the chunk here then, and that would be actively loaded, as these are loaded, and to this side we stand somewhere back here, so the chunks to this side would be loaded anyways. But let's try it out. So if I flick the lever, the pistons will turn off, the sand will fall down, and take a look at the red sand on the right then. Also, look at these pistons. This one is a chunk to the back, and this one is a chunk to the front. So let's just try it out. I will press escape real quick because that saves the chunk and I think that will also unload them. And now I flick the lever. And you can see it way in the back there. Like, the first thing is this piston extended way earlier. You noticed that. Secondly, you already see it from here. The sand is not red anymore. And that's a really interesting behavior of lazy chunks, because sand drops differently there. You can see in front here it behaves like we would expect it. It dropped like through the torch, and the second one dropped as an item. The two which dropped on the redstone dot dropped as an item, and the other two, or the other four here, just landed. The four that just landed look the same. That's as expected. The ones that landed on the dot actually landed as blocks on top of the dot, and the ones on the torch landed on the torch even though there's even an air block below the torch where one of the sands could have landed. And also, this sand turned to its default state. So it's not red anymore, it's not red sand, but it's now normal sand with metadata 0. And that's because when sand drops in lazy chunks, it isn't turned into an entity, but instead it just goes down and searches for the next spot where it can land, and uses different code. And this different code just returns it to the default state. So you could, for example, also repair anvils using this trick, or do something really cool which Redstone Spire will show. I promised him not to spoil it, so I will link to the video and you can watch it there, but I won't say more about it. It's cool. Actually, let's leave the sand here. So yeah, and this dropping down without turning into an entity that happens in lazy chunks happens instantly. For this there's delay, but here it just places the sand down there. The sand drops and it's down there. And here it's the sand drops, then it falls as an item, as an entity, and then it lands after a while. But here it starts dropping, it's down there. Zap. And this behavior, or this difference between lazy chunks and actively loaded chunks, we will use to detect when the 45-second unloading cycle happens. Like every 45 seconds, the game saves all chunks, and the same as when I pressed escape and the chunks that possibly were still loaded got unloaded. The same, all chunks that are just loaded by redstone would get unloaded. So what we will do is, at the border of the spawn chunks, let's imagine this here would be the last chunk loaded of the spawn chunks. Like this row would be the last row of chunks loaded by the spawn chunks. We will build a little redstone device in this chunk here. Then we will build out redstone wire, loading all these chunks. So that will make this chunk with the redstone inside an actively loaded chunk, because we got a 5x5 loaded around. And then when a 45-second unloading cycle happens, these chunks here will get unloaded again. Oops. Which will make this chunk turn into a lazy chunk. So to detect this 45-second unloading cycle, all we need to do is build a redstone machine in this chunk, which detects the difference between the instantly dropping sand and the sand that turns into an entity. And that's done by trying to drop a sand in every tick, and if it drops instantly, you know that you are a lazy chunk. Otherwise, you just continue trying. And yeah, I guess the best way to roughly explain this machine is if I just build it up and then show you how it works. And it's done. This is a lazy chunk detector device. I know it's not necessarily small, but it's not too big either and relatively fast to set up. And it works really nicely. So the input comes from over here. And we will talk about the input later. And when that turns on, this torch turns off. So this top part switches on, and what the top part does is, I think it's easiest to show if I just trigger it, but basically it's 4 times the same setup here, so I will just explain one side. Basically it turns on this thing here, and then these pistons are smart pistons which push back and forth, and yeah, that's all this top part does. Well, there's different delays to the different sides here. As I said, it's 4 times the same. It's 4 times the same, just with different delays, because we need to drop a cent in every tick, and that's done by just having the same thing 4 times and have it started at different ticks. So this is with 1 repeater, this is with 2 repeaters, this is with a piston and a repeater, and that's with just a piston. So we got all delays. And let me just turn the top part here on. Yeah, let's do it with this piston. So you can see, oops, let me do it again. But you can see all these pistons, these smart pistons just push back and forth. That's all it does. Let's turn it off again because it's noisy. So the first thing that happens is the top part gets turned on. And then next up we have these 4 ticks delay here. That's just so it happens after the top part. Doesn't really matter how much delay there is, it just needs to be enough that the top part is done turning on. And after this delay, 2 things will happen. The first thing is this piston line here will retract. And you can see how I used the stone brick snow pattern here. That is actual chunk borders all the time. You can see there's a chunk border right here, and there's a corner of 4 chunks right here. So yeah, and these chunks here to this side, all these chunks are the spawn chunks, and these chunks are not the spawn chunks anymore. So we are just at the border of the spawn chunks, and when these pistons turn off, they will load the chunks next to them. They will cause updates here, and I even laid some wire into them just to be sure, but it would be enough if we just had this wire here. So it loads these chunks, and they are not spawn chunks, so on the next 45-second unloading cycle, they will get unloaded, like these 5 chunks here. And that will cause the machine to be lazy loaded. But yeah, for now they are loaded, the machine was just turned on. And the other thing that happens is the wire down here turns off, and these pistons retract. And when they retract, the sand on top gets moved back and forth, and it tries to drop down, but it doesn't manage to. Let me just turn it on and then show you, because it's actually visible. It's not well visible like that, but what I can do is press F3B to get the entity hitboxes, and then what you see is this blue line blinking here on both sides. And every time one of these blue lines is blinking, that means there's a sand entity trying to fall down, but before it managed to start falling down, the sand block was removed by the piston again, so it stops again and deletes itself. And if it's in a lazy chunk, we said it doesn't create entities, but it just gets set down down here then. And yeah, that's exactly how we detect lazy chunks, because if it gets placed down there on the glass block, then there is a repeater facing into it from here, powering the block when there's a sand block, powering this redstone, and this redstone gets out down here, and that's where we turn on our clock. So let me just repair the machine here. So, okay, so turned off again. No. I used red sand here. We could also use normal sand, but red sand has one advantage in showing it, because yeah, as I showed earlier, it will turn into normal sand when it falls down in a lazy chunk, so we will see which sand dropped down later on. Let's turn the entity hitboxes off again. And yeah, then the signal here gets some delay, gets the right timing. Oh no. Oh well, actually that didn't break anything, luckily. Let's turn it off. The problem is this thing is not meant to be turned off. It's meant to go off on a 45-second unloading cycle. So because I just turned it off manually, it triggered this thing. But it doesn't matter. So let's get rid of that. Yeah. So the signal comes in from there and triggers the clock here. I had to rearrange the clock a little bit because earlier I made a mistake and had the piston triggered on the wrong side of the clock, but now it's right. Like 2 ticks after this, Yeah, it just needs to be the right delay at which the piston triggers, because that's the whole point why we have this this lazy chunk detector there, because we need to align the whole redstone timings with the 45-second unloading tick. So it wouldn't make sense to have it like we had before, like have a repeater here and the redstone dust there or something like that. That does not work. Wrong timing. So I also pre-filled all the way to back there already. So what we just need to do is pre-fill the buffer here. And yeah, as I said, the buffer also is based on this instant falling in lazy chunks, because this chunk here is always a lazy chunk. Yep. We can place one more here. So we have a half slab there at the exact spawn point now. And if I throw a snowball into the end portal, the snowball will get picked up by... Oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, messed up 1.8 hitboxes. Luckily fixed. Well, let's just fix this manually here. We have a hopper minecart there, which is filled up with snowballs. And if I throw the snowball in the end portal, it will appear here at the spawn chunks, completely fill up this minecart, then turn on this redstone wire, because there's a comparator and it's comparing here, and only if they have the same strength the front gets turned on. So it will turn on this wire, which unpowers this hopper and gets rid of one snowball again. And also powers this piston here, which just transmits a signal down and into another piston, which transmits it further down. Then here we got a short pulsar, and together with this piston, the sticky piston, it acts as an airs-on knowledge. So when we throw one snowball in, it just sets this as a T flip-flop. I'm sorry, it acts as a T flip-flop. So when we throw a snowball in, it sets and the machine is turned on. If we throw one in the second time, it resets it and turns it off. And from here on, we just got instant wire. And that's it. That's how you build a sand generator. So now we should go to the end and see if it works. Alright, let's do this. Everything here is prepared. The redstone is in place. The ender crystal is in place. The wither is making noises. I got snowballs, or I also got snowballs in the inventory, so let's just throw one in and see if it works. So it can take up to 45 seconds till it starts now. So I also added a little part down here. The hoppers lead into this dropper here, which is connected to a clock, so when the machine starts, the sand will get shot out here into the water stream. And oops, I connected the water stream to the not filled chest from the obsidian farm. We didn't fill all the chests when we built the obsidian farm, so oh, there we go. Works like a charm. Yes. Ah, nice. So you can see now what all the things are about. The sand drops in here, drops through the block which the ender crystal removes, lands down here, gets moved by all the piston wiring, then gets moved up here with some weird piston wire, and gets moved all the way up here, and drops into the portal again, gets to the spawn. I can't show that part because if I would be there, then this would be unloaded. I mean, even if I would place a camera there, the chunk loading would influence things, so I can't show the spawn chunk working. But yeah, it drops to the spawn chunks, moves to the side, gets into the buffer, gets taken out of the buffer by the clock which is pushing stuff in, gets moved over to the end portal, the chunks around the end portal are loaded, and the sand drops into the end portal again from the right height, landing on the... Oops, now I fell down. Landing on the cobble fence below the portal. At the same moment it hits the portal, appears here, duplicates, and drops through, and everything starts over again. And the duplicated item gets picked up by the I shouldn't punch here. I almost punched. The duplicated item gets picked up by the hopper minecart below there, gets picked up by the hoppers, into the dropper, shot out here, and into the leftover chests of the obsidian generator. Where we have enough chests so that I can let this thing run for quite a while before I have to worry about it. So that's it. We built a working sand generator. Nice. Let's try the turning off part real quick. Oh yeah, we still got this. So I turn it off, and it's off. We ran the sand generator for about 6 hours now. Also I stood on the wood farm and it ran out of bone meal, and we got quite a few apples and wood extra, so that's nice as well. But let's check out how much sand we got first. So I think it must have stopped. Oh yeah, I put one red set in. I think it must have stopped relatively late because the first row filled up and the second row a little bit, so that's okay for 6 hours because the hoppers behind also fill up. So it is close to what we would have expected. Like it's maybe not as close as I thought, but anyways, it should be okay. It's not super much. I will run it again. In general, this thing worked. So now I think the reason why it really broke is not this one guy up there. I think it's this little party here. I always thought Endermen were just kleptomanic or something, but that's organized criminality. Like, come on, and then they put it down in the wrong places again. What's going on here? Yeah, I will have to make sure this is Enderman proof here. This might be the reason why it broke. I'm not sure if I will find sand blocks all over the island now. Let's see if we find any around here. I don't see any. But I probably will. Somewhere there will be single sand blocks in the end now. No, I don't see any yet. Yeah, but overall the project worked quite nicely. Oh yeah, there's one. This doesn't belong here. The generator ran for quite a while. We got, what was it? Here at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because the hoppers probably fill up the rest. Like 7 double chests of sand, which is okay-ish. As I said, I will run it again. But yeah, I would say that's it for today. I will then deal with this Enderman problem here. So thanks for watching and see you next time. I guess there are questions which shall not be answered. Don't forget to check out the channels and of course Spire's video about lazy chunks. It's cool. You will like it. Probably. Bye!